Hello, everybody. Joe Malone here, coming to you live from Dallas Trading Floor. It is Friday, and it looks like the market is pulling back a little bit once again. It just seems to gets going, and then not so much. So it's it's interesting how that kind of works. But the debate last night. I don't know if people saw it. I don't know if that's going to resolve anything. So I guess we'll have to wait for the election to see kind of exactly what's going to go on here. So, um, uh, anyways, we have to kind of wait, and it's always hard to do that. So let's get into the slides here really quick. Basically, Tesla is shown a new buy point, and believe it or not, even though it's down today, I purchased a little bit more Tesla in one of my accounts, and then also in the small account as well, the small account, because I do think it is bouncing off the 50-day line. I hope I'm right, but it did establish a new buy point at 466. Now, here's the important thing about a buy point. If typically any big runs in a stock happen after a stock has moved through the buy point, so it is a little bit risky to buy below the buy point, but that's indeed what I did today. So hopefully I'm right about that, and it'll move up beyond the 466 level. If that's true, then it's likely to go much higher. The numbers for Tesla were excellent, but as I've been kind of indicating here on the show, it's very usual that even if there are terrific numbers, a stock sometimes will will pull back after earnings. So it's kind of it's a typical buying rumor, selling news. So that's kind of been the thing. So let's look at the S&P, the Nasdaq. It's pulled up just slightly. I mean, this is just so slight. It's really going sideways here. Can't really say that it's going up, but it is technically up. S&P is up a little bit, just tiny amount. The Dow Jones is down a little bit, but really kind of going sideways here. So, I mean, I think that's something that we're going to have to deal with, until the election. Just wanted to kind of show you the chart on the SPDR. This is the world's largest ETF, and many people have their entire net worth in this this ETF. It's one of the original. It's one of the original exchange traded funds. But as you can see, we're just sticking right above this 50-day moving average. We the coronavirus thing happened. We pulled all the way down to the low. The low was 211 on the SPDR. That was March 23rd. We went then back up, and then boom, we've pulled back. So I believe that we're in the beginnings of a little bit of a recovery here. Can't really tell, but we've had 2 up days in a row, and that is a good thing. So I think we're going to bounce off that. We're going to test the highs again, and then if we get confirmation, we may go higher. So it's more of a W recovery and not a V recovery, as they were saying. So they're talking about a W recovery, and I definitely think that's the case. I don't know if we've reached the low or not, but it sure looks like we are sticking right to the 50-day line. So that's why I show this every time. Because I think it's such an important graph. Now, most of the investments, of course, that I'm making, because I am a momentum investor, and I invest primarily in the in the tech issues, are in the QQQ, which represents the NASDAQ 100. Here's a chart of the QQQ. Same kind of action. It pulled down, and then the coronavirus thing pulled up and then hit a high, and then it's pulled back. Now, it is a little bit more concerning with the QQQ because we have had some down days, and it seems like we're right at the 50-day moving average. So what that's going to tell, we're coming up on a lot of earnings next week, and many of the companies have gotten punished. I mean, Intel was punished, and I think some of the other ones are going to get punished too. The reopening of the economy is not going to be that difficult. It's going to be difficult, and it doesn't look like we probably will have a stimulus in front of the election. I hope we do, but I don't think that's going to happen. Just based on kind of what I've been hearing out there, so kind of disappointing. But that gives us time to build our watch list and get ready with our dry powder to go forward. Because I do think that once these things are resolved, I think it's going to be a little bit easier. And the reason is because the bond rates are so low that the money doesn't have anywhere to go but into equities, and so the equities that are producing the alpha are going to get the investment, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so bullish on Tesla. Here is a chart of Tesla as as just of a few minutes ago when I took this. Basically, it is pulled below the 50-day moving average, and we shall see what happens if it starts to pull up. It started to pull up in late trading, so I think we're gonna, I think we may have seen the worst of it. That's one of the reasons why I was buying on this dip. And normally I don't buy on dips, but I think in this case, with this chart pattern, I'm fairly confident that it's going to move higher in the next few weeks. So that's kind of where I'm at with Tesla. Let's take a look at my current holdings. These are my current holdings that I have. Of course, I have Taiwan Semi. It's off today. Tesla, it's down as well, but I did initiate a new buy here. Cloudflare is off, but it's been up quite a bit. Now, there is a William O'Neill rule that I'm following on Cloudflare. If you have a security like on Cloudflare, NET, that's up 20% in less than 8 weeks, you need to hold it at least 8 weeks before you sell it. And that's kind of where I'm at with Cloudflare. I not only have this in the small portfolio, but I have it in several other places too. So these are probably my two largest holdings right now are Tesla and Cloudflare. I also have Qualcomm, which is a chip company. It's been doing pretty good actually as of late. I have a small position in Viva Systems. It's up today. Very, very good chart on that. PayPal is down. I do think it's going to recover, but we'll see. I may be just stopped out of PayPal. I hope not. I still think it's a great stock. And I have an extremely small position in Greystone Bitcoin Trust. And that's kind of a hedge. And it's down a little bit today, but it's such a small amount that really not that big of a concern there. So let's get to the questions. Let's see. Okay. So are you still anticipating PayPal will break out to the upside? I actually am. I am anticipating that it will. But let's, let's look at the chart to kind of see if, I'm all wet or not. I'm all wet or not. It's, right now, the general market is trading sideways into the election because they're really trying to figure out, who is going to be, who's going to be the victor, and I don't think that's going to be very easy. So let's look at the weekly chart here first to kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about here. This is the PayPal weekly chart. We do have a buy point on it with a cup at 212, and it is a blue dot special, but it's pulled back. So, hopefully it's just cocking the gun. Let's look at the daily chart, just kind of get an idea of where, of where we're going on that. So here we go with the daily. We've got earnings in basically 10 days. So we're pretty close into earnings. If this doesn't respond favorably, I probably will sell it. But I more than likely will sell this if it doesn't respond favorably. Or even if it does, I'm probably going to be selling it into earnings, even though I bought it just recently, because I do think we'll move up into the buy zone from earnings. So we'll see. It's right at the 21-day exponential line. So let's look at the 30-minute chart to see kind of how it's trading. Trading down today. There's been some selling going on. So we'll see. But I do think this is going to move up. I do think it's going to move up before earnings. But I could be all wet on that as I have been before. So that's kind of my take on PayPal anyways. So let's take a look at what do you think about sterling? Sterling. You mean sterling the pound or sterling? I don't know quite. If you could comment on that, that would be helpful. Don't quite know exactly what that is. Sterling Motors or sterling the pound. If you give me a symbol, that would be great. Really appreciate that. Thoughts on Square versus PayPal? Will there be a dominant player, or can both coexist? I think they both coexist. Let's take a look at Square. Square has got a good business model. I have to admit. I mean, there are many small businessmen that are, small business people that use Square. So it's a very, very compelling story here. 3 days in front of earnings. 97 relative strength, which is great. It's pulled back to the 21-day exponential, but it is up slightly. So it's really, I think the story's going to be pretty good on this one. Would I hold it through earnings? Yeah, if I was up on this, I would probably protect my position and sell. It's 7 out of 9, so that's looking pretty good. Let's look at the fund ownership. Funds are good, 45% in this, and we have increasing funds. So this is setting up pretty good. The only thing is, I do think that it could move lower. I could look right after earnings. I think that is a risk with this one. I'm with a stock like this, I would recommend the way it's looking on this chart. It's sort of pulling over. I would sell this into earnings, and then wait to see how it comes through earnings. I do think that there's going to be some selling on this one. It's a good stock overall, but PayPal I think is better long term, just based on what I'm looking at here. Anyways, MAT took off probably too late. I think it's probably a short. Okay, let's look at MIT. MAT, and that is Mattel. Remember Mattel? This is the Barbie company. Wow, look at that. There was a spike up. Look at that. Well, it had some excellent earnings. Now this is unusual. Typically, we are going into the strongest quarter for. We are going into the strongest quarter for toy companies. It had a very strong. It had very strong earnings. Wow, that is really, really good. And it went up. So, boy, this might be a situation that, this might be a good situation. Let's see if we're going to get any kind of buy point on this one. We do have decreasing phone ownership. We do have a checklist that is buyable. So we do have a buyable checklist here. So that's very good. Let's look at ownership. Well, the ownership isn't bad. Let's look at the industry. The industry is terrible. It's 139 out of 197. That's in terms of the sectors. But this is looking actually very good. Very strong here. I would watch this one. So I'm going to put this on the watch list. Mattel. So this is definitely buyable. I'm just trying to find, it should, the pivot on it basically on a flat base is 1196. It's 1416, but I still think, let's see how this does with money, see if it pulls back a little bit, but this may be buyable at this level. I'd kind of like to see it, I kind of like to see how it traded on Monday, but this is looking pretty good, actually. This is looking actually pretty good. So I have to be pretty bullish on this one. It's a good chart, especially for a toy company. And we are going into the best. We are going into the best period for the toy companies. It's going to be the Christmas season, of course, for retail, just like retail. What happened to the market? Have a good weekend. Thank you so much, for Gator fan. I don't know. I don't know what happened to the market. Sometimes, Fridays are notorious for sell-offs. I have to admit, they are sell-offs. And now, with this whole election thing, I mean, everybody's on pins and needles. It just seems like there's a new revelation each day. It just seems to be harder and harder to trade. So, I just don't think there's a lot of conviction. I think a lot of people are, being very careful, and pulling in their horns a little bit into the election. I mean, that's really the only explanation I have for it, to be honest. But let's take a look at some of the people on TikTok. Thoughts on Apple? Thank you so much for for taking a look on TikTok. A lot of friends on TikTok, so I appreciate that. And as far as I know, they haven't canceled it yet. I hope they won't. I was threatened. Let's look at the Apple chart. By the way, if you're looking on TikTok and you want to see the charts that I'm showing, it's very easy. You just have to jump over to YouTube. It's youtube.com/Dallas Trading Floor. Okay, look at the charts here. It's 92 relative strength. So it's the relative strength has been decreasing. That's this little blue line here. And unfortunately, it is moving. It is moving higher, moving lower. Excuse me. The distance between the S&P 500 and this line tells the story. The closer this gets to that, the more it's outperforming. If it's moving away, it's underperforming. So it looks as if, based on this chart, we are seeing a little bit of underperformance from where from where Apple has been. As you can see, we're now in a basic, not in a, but we're in a downward. We're downward trending. We're in a downward trending line here. So let me kind of give you that. That line here. Let's see if I can get it to draw here. Here we go. Come on, baby. There we go. So as you can see, that's sort of the line that we're going. So we're not, we're moving in the wrong direction on this. Earnings are in 6 days. They did just announce the new iPhone 12, and I think it's a terrific product, but it's just it doesn't seem to be lighting fires under a lot of people. So I just don't know exactly what's happening here. I think right now it's a time possibly to take a wait-see attitude with with Apple, just because we are seeing it be behaving like this. The check losses is not as good as I'd like to see it. We have had a drop off in the checklist. This is why I say don't add to any positions that you have in Apple right now, because unfortunately it's only 5 out of 9. It's less than the 6 out of 9 that I have as a minimum. Also, we have flood ownership is holding approximately steady. Just about everybody's in this stock. I mean, it's a great stock, don't get me wrong, but I think that it just may be priced to perfection. So if you're out of Apple, I wouldn't go in at this time. I just don't think the chart's looking right for that. It seems to be trading in a range from about 113 or 112 on to about 125. But it's been declining as of late. So I want to see a turn on this before I would go back into Apple. So that's kind of my opinion with Apple. It's been a little bit disappointing with Apple. I thought it would be pulling up more than it was. But right now, just wait until there's a turn on Apple. Should I sell FedEx before earnings? Is it worth holding? Now, in a market like this, I think it's best to be a little bit cautious, just because we have so much there's so much turmoil politically that it's difficult to figure this out. Would I sell it into earnings? It's got a rating of 96. That's looking good. It's up today. The checklist is very good. I tell you, I probably would sell this. Well, when I sell this into earnings, I don't think we're going to see this thing drop a lot. I do think the chart looks pretty good, and it doesn't seem to be, it seems to be holding, it seems to be holding pretty well. I think that, you could realistically hold this one through earnings. Absolutely. They definitely went up. Their last earnings were good, and I think their earnings are going to be fairly good, fairly good next week. But there are some troubling signs, and I kind of want to show you this. There's been a lot of selling. There's been selling on this issue. So I do think that this is a question of, buy on rumor, sell on news. So I probably, if it was sort of a toss up, but I would sell this into earnings. And if it did improve, I would come back into the issue. I don't think it's a bad stock. I just, those profits are something that you need to see if you can, see if you can hold on to, because it's going to be a little bit more difficult to be getting that kind of profit coming in towards the end of the year. Hey, Jim, what do you think about Apple calls for next week? Boy, I think selling them is probably a good idea. I wouldn't be buying Apple calls. I'd probably be selling them. I would consider selling Apple calls. Let's look at Apple to see if there's any opportunities on the options, just to see if we can get a good take on the option on options for it. So let's go over to my machine is very slow today. On Apple options. So let's see if we can get into the Apple options here. There we go. Okay, options. So this is not very encouraging, unfortunately, on these options. Not a whole lot of on the 1120s, I mean, we're talking about 34 cents for basically a 150 strike, which is approximately par, which is approximately where we're at right now. It's just not showing. I just don't think that there's a lot here. Okay, so about 150. Okay, so would I be a buyer of this? I probably would be a seller of calls, but personally, I probably wouldn't do anything at this point. I just want to see how Apple is going to be trading. I think it's been pretty weak, and I want to see some more direction before I would do anything on that. So that's where I'm going on SBIO. Let's look at SBIO quickly. SBIO. See, that's Alps Medical Breakthroughs. It's interesting. Denver, Colorado. I don't know this stock. So let's see if I can get a quick analysis on it. So let's first of all look at it. It looks like it's right at the buy point, pulled right back from it, 44.56. It's only got a 72 relative strength. So based on that, I wouldn't buy it. And it only has a 4 out of 9 on the roster. I wouldn't buy the stock. Just there's better ones out there. It's not necessarily bad, but it just doesn't have enough power, and I wouldn't be buying this one. Just doesn't work for me, unfortunately. Okay, so Jim, are you anticipating PayPal will break out onto the upside? I don't know if it'll break out, but I do think we're going to go higher with PayPal. I think we have to be a little bit patient, but you never know. It just depends on how the elections go, and how the economy reopens. That's going to be a big issue. But it does have a superior chart pattern right now, and that just typically in the past means that it's going to move higher. So maybe I may have been a little bit premature on putting it out there, but I do think on trade alerts. But I do think and I am in the stock, but I do think it's going to move higher. All right, so Tesla. Why is Tesla down today? Well, Mr. Sid, typically what happens with most issues, and this is really, you got to look at this over time, and I want to show you this, is that typically after earnings, even if they're great, and the earnings were very good for Tesla, by the way, this last, it's a question of buying rumor, selling news. So, there's almost always a pullback after earnings. So let's kind of look at the chart to sort of see if I can show you that that aspect of it. If you'll notice, on the last time there was earnings, the last time there was earnings, this was the last quarter earnings. It was the earnings were up 300%, and yet it pulled back. This time we were up 100%, and yet it pulled back. This is the normal pattern with Tesla. Even on good earnings, and in a case here, it was up in the first quarter, up 140% and pulled back. Typically what will happen, this is one of the reasons I made a Tesla buy today, was that every time we have earnings and it does well, there's a pullback. And it's a question, I think it's really a buy on rumor, sell on news. So even though the numbers were good, there's a lot of people in there, day traders, that are going to be selling out their position. So be a little bit patient with Tesla. That's all I can say. I do think it's going to go higher. All right, let's look for an Amazon buy point. And also Amazon is coming up on earnings, and this is going to be very big. The next week is going to be very big for earnings. The question is, which should you buy it into the earnings, and what should you do there? I personally think this is a great chart pattern. It's got a cup with handle, and I think it's looking to go higher. But would I buy it into earnings? Probably not. I'd probably wait until earnings, because I do think it will pull back, and then it was like a cocked gun. It will probably move higher. That's my guess with Amazon. But let's kind of see how it's trending. It's got a 100% checklist. It doesn't get any better than that. The funds are all in it. And the industry is 17 out of 197. So it is very strong. Would I buy it at this point? Well, tactically, I probably wouldn't, just because I think that you want to buy it right after earnings. I think that it's going to fall after earnings. Now, the question is how far. I don't think it's going to fall far, but I do think it's going to pull back after earnings, and then it will move up, I think, into the end of the year. So that's really what I'm going to say. Now, there is a buy point on it. Just to reiterate, there is a buy point on a flat base. It's 33.44.29. And of course, we're about 200 points off of that. So it's up 18, $19. Yeah. Okay. So it's pulling up into the close. I do think, though, this is likely to pull back right after earnings, but then I do think it's going up. I do think it's going up, believe it or not. I'm very bullish actually I'm very bullish on Amazon, I have to admit. I think it's one of the few places that you can really put a lot of money and be assured of a profit. So, it's just looking pretty good. Okay, that's the Apple calls. So let's look at thoughts on SPAC. Let's look at SPAC. This is the Bill Ackerman SPAC, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I don't quite know. I haven't been following this one very because I don't know what they're buying or merging with. Okay, Spartan Energy. That's SPAQ. Is that right? SPAQ. Okay, Spartan Energy. Let's look at the chart for Spartan Energy. This is SPAQ. Symbol not looking good. 42 rating, below the 200-day average. This is a no-go. It's got a 3 out of 9 checklist. Not worth your time. Ownership, well, it is increasing ownership, so that's good. Let's look at industry and sector. 158 out of 197. You can't get. This is not. Don't buy this one. This is not for you. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think it is going to go anywhere. It's the only problem is it's going to go down. Tesla recalling 3 Tesla callers. Yes, I absolutely agree. I mean, there are issues, there are quality issues with Tesla, but I don't think, I don't think that's going to stop it in the long term. I don't. Currently the valuation of Tesla is larger than Toyota Motors, which produces 10 times more cars. So I do think, even with the recalls, I think that, right now, Tesla has probably the best balance sheet in the auto industry, and so I am a little bit concerned about that, but I think that going forward, it's not gonna make as much of a difference as it would with other companies, more mature companies. Please advise on Party. Is it time to load? Sorry for yesterday. No problem. Party City, I think. TTCY. Let's see if it's time to load up on that one. I think it's Party City. Yeah. Is that right? Let's see if I can get a Party City symbol. Let's see if I have something on that. Let's see if I'm going to get anything on that. Well, maybe not. Party City. Party City. No, I can't. I just can't get anything on Friday. I can't help you on that one, unfortunately. I can't. I don't know if the symbol is on that, so we'll have to come back to that one. Sorry about that. Toyota has recalled 1 million cars. That's true. There you go. That's a really good point. And Honda is still recalling cars for airbags. So being an automobile manufacturer, recalls are part of the game. So it's just the way it is. How about some home builders? BZH and MDC. Let's look at MDC. I actually like some of the bigger ones, and I think home builders are a good area because I do think a lot of millennials are going to be buying their first homes. But let's look at Beazer Homes. BZH. This is Beazer, I believe. Yep, that Beazer Homes. This is a good company, by the way. Thank you for this, Ricardo. Good call on this. It's pulled back a little bit below the 21-day exponential. It's 1375, but it's up today. We are 20 days in front of earnings. Is this thing buyable? Let's look. Wow. Okay, look at the checklist on it. It's very good. Yeah. Okay, 6 out of 9. That's good. 43% funds. This is looking good, man. Beazer is looking good. I want to take a look at this to kind of compare it against. I want to compare this against some of the other plays in this space because essentially they make the same product. So let's look at Beazer. Hold on. Let's look at Beazer Homes and see if we can get the comparison here. BZH is the symbol on that. And there we go. Okay, Beazer. And let's look at the, okay, see, yeah, okay. I'm just kind of, because they do have a similar product, I want to look at MHO is the number one. It is the number one. So let's look at MHO, compare it to Beazer, and that will give us a good idea of which one is the better of the two. This is definitely stronger. I think you want to go with MI Homes over Beazer. They're both good, but this has got a relative strength of 82. I'm liking that a lot more than the Beazer number. Yep, the checklist is better, 7 out of 9. Ownership, fund ownership is better. Yeah, I think this is the one you want. I think you want MI Homes. The question is, where would you buy that? Well, there's a buy point on it currently on a consolidation base at 47.67. It's currently 43.99, and it has reversed. Yeah, you could definitely buy it at this point. There has been a reversal on it. This is for everybody out there. What I'm talking about on this reversal, it pulled below the 50-day moving average, and then it immediately punched down there, and then it reversed. What's happening here is that many of the programmatic traders are buying this as it's pulling through the 50-day moving average. So I definitely think there's momentum to the upside. It's up 5.29% today. You might be able to pick some of this up before the close today, but it looks as if it's going to move higher from this point. So very good call. Thank you very much, Ricardo. That's very interesting. Great sector, by the way. The home building sector, especially coming with the low interest rates and the demand for homes, I think that, this is a good way to go. And, I think MI Homes is, that's probably the thing. So MDC over BZH on that. So thank you. Okay, so let's take the next one. Beam. This is one that, I've been looking at, and thank you for this. Let's see if we can get a buy point on this one. This is Beam Therapeutics, and let's see if I can get. Yeah, boy, it is pulling right up. Wow, I think this one is going to be pulling up. Now, if you were to buy this at this point, wow, look at this. It's up $2. Here's the thing about this one. It does look like it's pulling up significantly. If you buy this thing now, and you definitely can buy this, if you buy this thing now, it's going to be a little bit. You have to be careful. Set that stop loss very close, and move the stop loss up quickly on this one if you do decide to buy it. I think that this is definitely looking pretty good. It's 6 out of 9. That's minimum for me, so it passes. It's got nice fund ownership. That's good. Let's look at the sector. Sector is good, 74 out of 197. Let's look at the options to see if there's no options on it. So I would say this is a go on Beam Therapeutics. But here's the thing, and this is tactical. If you're going to buy Beam Therapeutics, buy it, but immediately put a stop loss down, and then if it moves up, move that stop loss in with a cap of about 7%. So that's what you want to do on this. But I like this. I like this Beam very much. Thank you very much for that question. Do we have to sell an option before it expires? Absolutely not. But here's the thing about an option. Here's how options work. If you're holding the option, you can exercise the option if, let's say, for instance, you have a Tesla option. Let's say you have some Tesla 400s. Okay, maybe some November 20th 400s, and it looks like it's pulling up above that, and it's higher. Well, you could sell that for a profit. You can definitely sell that option for a profit. Or if you just held it, then you could buy the underlying stock, or you could just let it expire. You could just let the option expire. Now, if it expires, it's worthless. It expires worthless. If it comes to the date, you've got to do one of two things. You either have to buy the underlying stock at the strike price, or you have to sell it. And if you sell it, of course, there's going to be somebody that's going to buy it who wants to purchase those underlying shares, and there's going to be a ready market for that. So that's the thing with the option. You can hold it into you can hold it into the expiration date, but be forewarned, if you don't exercise it on the expiration date, it expires worthless. So that's how that works. Just a quick FYI. I'm spreading the word about. Thank you, man. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Please please like me. By the way, please like me. Please like me. That sounds so needy, doesn't it? It's like you're out there and you're saying, please like me. But anyways, please hit that like button. There we go. That's kind of fun. Yeah. Please like me out there. I so thank you for that. And glad you're talking to other people about me. So very, very good. Thank you so very much. Let's see. Questions from TikTok. I'm actually looking on the little TikTok screen, so that's why I'm pushing my face up to the glass here. It's kind of weird looking. Can you please check the technicals for PSNL? Let's look at PSNL really quick. PSNL is the symbol for, oh, wait a minute. Get that right. PSNL. Personalis operates a cancer genomics company that provides sequencing and data analysis services. So very cool. 58 up 58. There is a buy point on this one on a consolidation first stage base, 24.87. Excuse me, 24.87 is the buy point on this. Is it worth buying though? That is the question. Well, the checklist is looking very good. 7 out of 9. Let's look at the ownership of the funds. Very good on the ownership of the funds. We have a high relative strength with 97. The only issue here is we have earnings in 13 days. It's a little bit tight to buy it before earnings because I suspect, and this typically happens, you'll buy a stock like this, it'll be setting up so nicely, bouncing off the 21-day exponential, and then you get into earnings and then it'll drop. So I like to buy these after earnings, but I definitely think you want to watch this one. This is very good. This is good stock. Thank you so much for the question. All right, so let's see. Feedback on Fastly. This was a call that I made on Fastly. It's funny. I went in strong on Fastly. I was able to sell out 2 of my positions, but 2 of the other ones not so much. So it happens. Let's look at Fastly. It's definitely not in a buyable position right now. It sort of fell off the rails after earnings. This is one of the reasons you want to be careful buying stuff into earnings, because a lot of times when you buy them into earnings, they will fall off, and that's definitely the case. They missed on the revenue just slightly, not hardly anything at all. And as you can see, there was, I guess, huge gap down. It's sort of like a falling knife. So will there be a dead cat bounce? I don't know. 76. I don't think I'd want to be in this right now. I think if you're in, I think you want to sell it 60, even if you have a loss, because it just doesn't look as if this, until we see a turn here, and we may get some support at about 70.39. It's at 76. So we may see some support at this consolidation line, but we may not. We may not either. So there is a chance that we'll bounce at about 71, but I just don't think you want to take the chance. It looks like it's pulling back into earnings, and so if you're going to buy this at all, don't buy it until earnings. I just don't think it's the right thing right now, unfortunately, and that's a painful one because I had a call on that one. This is why you always, when you buy anything, always put that stop loss in good till cancel, because that can help you in an unforeseen event where it just falls out of the sky, and that's what happened with Tesla with Fastly. So, wow. Okay, stock. All right, so Sterling stock. I'm sorry. Can you give me a symbol, Lucas? If you can give me a symbol, that would be great. I could just put it right in there, no problem. Did thoughts on Beam? Let's see if we got. Would it be? Where would you sell Facebook? It looks like it just went into a breakout. Excellent, very good. Thanks, Gardner family. Thank you very much. Let's look at Facebook. Facebook is probably one of the most underloved of the FANGs, but it's a very profitable company. So, and it is going to be doing earnings in 6 days. So, is it going to pull up into earnings? Well, I don't know. There's a buy point on a cup base at 304. I'm not so sure. It's gonna take that trend again, but it's up $6. So you might be able to make some money by buying this. Let's look at the checklist. Checklist is excellent. Ownership is excellent. If I were playing this one, and I'm not, but if I were playing this, I would buy this and hold it to a day before earnings, and I would sell. But I'm a little worried about several things. Relative strength is only 87, but it's still really a good stock. So I do think it's going to retain the buy point, but it's a ways to go. So let's see if we can predict kind of when that is going to be intersected. So let's see if we can do that. On the slope, we're looking at about a November 10th time frame. Boy, I don't know. I don't think I would buy this into the earnings, but it possibly, if I was buying Facebook right now, I would buy it now and then I would sell it the day before earnings. So that's how I would do that. Okay, so UMC, thoughts on an entry point. This is an interesting company. This is sort of like Taiwan Semi, except it's sort of the other Taiwanese foundry company. Very interesting company. $5.50. I have bought and sold this one before. It's tough because it tends to be it's actually traded on the exchange in Taiwan, in Taipei, but you can buy and sell it in the U.S. with ADRs. That's what this ADR means. Now the question is, it's got increasing fund ownership, and it's looking good. I just don't know. I think you could make some money on this one, but again, it's earnings in 6 days, so I'd be a little bit concerned about this one as well. I don't think it's necessarily time. Let's see it pull up into a stronger. Let's see it pull back. Let's see it consolidate in the buy zone. I don't think this is a buy right now, even though it is strong. I'm just a little bit worried. I would wait until earnings in about 6 days on this one for UMC. So, Wendy, how are you? Okay. Thoughts on FCX? Lots of snow here. Oh, goodness. Calgary must be beautiful, though, in the winter wonderland. It was definitely storming today here in Dallas. I was afraid to get up. I was afraid to get out of bed. I was afraid to get out. It was raining. Just shows you what a fraidy cat I am. I don't like I'm not one that really likes the rain and the cold. So that's terrible to admit, but it's all true. Okay, let's look at Freeport-McMoRan. This is the biggest. This is probably the biggest mining company in North America, and it's very strong. It's sort of a proxy for the rest of the this is 95 relative strength. This is the kind of it's 8 out of 9. This is the kind of stock that you would buy if you were thinking that we're going to have reopening in the economy. And I'm not so totally sold on the fact that we're going to reopen right away. I think there's going to be more political difficulties ahead. And so I'd be a little bit careful with this. I'd be a little bit careful buying this one right now, just because it's a good stock, but it's very dependent on the demand for raw materials, and that means manufacturing. So if cars are up and that kind of thing, then Freeport-McMoRan will as well be up as well. I mean, there has been some good movement in some of the kind of the basic industry stocks. There's another one out there called Cleveland-Cliffs. It's a steel mill, and it's doing well. So we may be, hopefully, we're in the beginning of a recovery, but this is more of a long-term play. Basically, this is a copper mining company. Copper, of course, is a proxy for industrial development. So, it's a little bit risky buying it right now because so much of the economy is closed. I would wait on this one until the economy reopens. But I think if it does, this one could be very, very good because in the first stages of a recovery cycle, there's a lot of demand for commodities, and they're very good. But you got to be careful because this is a copper mining company, and right now there's problem out there is there's not a lot of demand for commodities. We've had a lot of deflation, so proceed with caution is all I'm trying to say. Is it better to buy a stock or a warrant? Well, for everybody out there, here's what a warrant is. I don't know if you know this. If you buy a stock, I actually prefer stocks over warrants, though you can do very well with warrants. The thing about a warrant is it's sort of like an option to buy. It's like an untraded option to buy a stock. So it's like a call. It's very similar to a call in that sense. I don't particularly like them because they have usually, they expire. So if I had a choice between stock or warrant, I would take stock. But warrants are have a lot more leverage. So that's my view. But I definitely would probably go with the stock over the warrant. NNOM. Let's look at NNOM. NNOM. And let's take a look here to see how we're doing. Oh, NNOM. Did I not get that right? Let's see. Oh, NMDM. I apologize. NMDM. Let's look at that. Nano Dimensions. It's an ADS, and it's an Israeli company. Interesting. I don't know this company. Very interesting. Trading about $4, $3.95. It's down 16 cents today. Got a very strong relative strength at 98. This is interesting. Sort of a penny stock. There actually are some funds in this, so this is interesting. Very encouraging. I just don't like the I just don't like the checklist though. I couldn't buy this one, but I would definitely watch list this one. This isn't buyable, and there's not a pattern to buy it on. So unfortunately, I have to say no on this one for now. But this is a very interesting technology. This 3D printing technology. And I do think this is, and the Israelis are leaders in this field. So this is a very good call, but it's not a buy. It's definitely a watch list. So put it on the watch list. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. Sterling. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I couldn't find that. I couldn't find the symbol earlier. So thank you for that. STRL. Sterling. Let's take a look at the chart. Sterling Sterling Construction. I should have remembered this one because I've talked about this one before. The thing about construction companies, they're tough, because they depend so much on contract. But this one's looking good. 91 relative strength. It's up 12 cents. That's looking good. It's got a nice cup formation. Let's look at the weekly chart to see if there's any kind of long-term action. Yes, we're at the top. I like this. You always try to want to buy a stock when it's making a new high, and this definitely is. So that's good. It's got a cup formation with a buy point of 1554. So I'm liking that. So it passes on everything. Oh, this is a go. Yeah, this is a go. Thunderbird's a go. So I love that show. STRL buy point equals, and that buy point on that one is 1554. So that's very, very interesting. The buy point on that end is 1554. So I'm going to put that out there to everybody on the chat. By the way, if you're looking on TikTok, I do run all of the chat as well as as the charts, so that you can see that as well. And if you're looking to learn kind of the method that I use what they call the CAN-SLIM method. It was invented by William O'Neill. And if you're interested in the CAN-SLIM method, it's super easy to figure out. Just to start with it, just go over to my website, www.DallasTradingFloor. There's a tab down here called the Learn to Trade bookshelf. Just click on that, and it'll take you right to a page that will basically have some books they're really helpful when you start out. The first book I recommend, of course, is How to Make Money in Stocks: A Winning System, Good Times or Bad, by William O'Neill. And I think it's in the 4th edition. And then there's a companion volume, How to Make Money in Stocks, Getting Started, by Matthew Galgani. You should definitely buy these two together. The orange cover book is really the theory book, And then the blue cover book is sort of the Cliff Notes. I like the Cliff Notes because it helps me save time. But if you learn these two things, you're going to come out very, very strong. You're going to kind of understand what I'm talking about when it comes to things like full position and, cup with handle and 30-day, 21-day exponential. These are all covered in the book. So a good way to learn about trading, and a great investment in your future, by the way. And I have an MBA, and believe me, I wish that I had concentrated more on the William O'Neill system and less on what I did when I was in graduate school. I would be farther along in my life today. Actually, I'm pretty well. I'm glad I discovered it. But this is like learning this system. It's like a graduate course in how to in how to trade stocks. I've been very successful using this system, and many of the other top traders in the world are. Many of the top traders use this system. Matter of fact, I think 29 out of 30 last year were using the candle or a variation of it. So definitely something you want to look at if you're interested in trading long term. Even if you're not, you just want to look and find out more about how trading. Okay, let's look at DraftKings. DKNG. Let's go over there and let's see if I can give you a good chart on that. DKNG, and that's DraftKings. And I do think that this is a very, very strong bullish industry. There's really two companies in this industry: Penn National Gaming, of course, and DraftKings. DraftKings has been pulling back as of late. I still like the stock. I just wouldn't buy it at this point. I want to wait for a turn on it, but it still has a 98 relative strength. It's below the buy point on the third stage consolidation base at 44.79. It's 42.74, and it's off $1 today. So I want to see a turn on this before I'm looking to buy it. I think you're going to see it possibly. It may have pulled back as far as it's going to pull back. When this thing starts moving to the upside, I think you want to be in it. I'm going to be probably setting an alarm on DraftKings at the buy point at 44.79. So that's you want to make sure it kind of moves. It pulls back and then it moves above that. Right now, you don't want to buy it. It's in the wrong. The trend is downward, as we can see here. You see, this is the trend. This is the trend. But once it bounces, and it looks like it may, and it moves back above that 50-day moving average line, then I think this could go, right back up to the $60 range. But right now, you don't want to buy it because it is trending in the wrong direction. It needs to reverse and in order to go higher. Okay, so did I get everybody there? Great. Okay, let's look at TikTok. Okay, get to everybody here. Hopefully, you can. Etsy, yes, great. Thank you. Etsy is, definitely one of the stay-at-home stocks. ESTY, Etsy. Let's look at Etsy. Okay. ETCY is right. Is that right? ETCY? ETSY. Sorry. ETSY. That's the symbol for Etsy. Okay, there we go. Pulling back a little bit to the 50-day line. Is it viable at this point? Well, it's got earnings in 6 days. It's a little bit dangerous to buy at this level. It does have a good formation. A cup. It's not a cup with a handle. The buy point on it's 141.41. I want to see this thing pull back a little bit. I want to see this thing reverse direction, but I think I want to watch list. I think I want to alarm this ETSY. I think we want to alarm that one. All right. And I'm going to look to see kind of what the criteria is. Increasing fund ownership, that's good. Very strong earnings per share. Looking quite good, actually, but I wouldn't buy it at this point. I want to see it reverse before I would buy it. But its earnings are in 7 days, so this should be definitely on the watch list. I'm going to put this on the watch list on the small portfolio. And by the way, if you want to see the small portfolio, it's super easy to do. All you have to go is go over to the website, www.Dallas Trading Floor, and it has the sign up for the small portfolio. It's actually down here. You kind of have to scroll it down a little bit, but it's right here, just first, last name, and email address. Hit that submit, and you will be getting a link to see the small portfolio. And basically, the way that looks is like this. So pull it back in there. There we go. We're back in. Um, so it looks like this in the small portfolio. And this is how I am trading currently. It doesn't look good today. It looks like I kind of a tough day. I'm down on Tesla, and I'm only up on Cloudflare and Qualcomm. So not as good as I'd like it, but this is the small portfolio, and I do maintain a watch list that everyone can see, and of course it's all free, and that watch list. Okay, let's see if we can show you that watch list. There it is. There's the watch list. Last one I had on it was Greystone Bitcoin Trust. Well, I have talked for almost an hour, and so I hope everyone out there is going to have a very nice weekend. I'm certainly going to try to, wherever you are. And if you do want to get on the trading list, do you want to get do you want to get the action trailers, which we send out all the time? Super easy to do. You just have to go to Dallas Trading Floor. So subscribe to the free action trailers. It's www.dallas.trading-floor. And I hope to see you all on Monday. I'll be back about 2:30 on Monday afternoon. Happy trading. Stay safe, and I'll see you